Hey everybody, and welcome to Halo 3 ODST. This is a game that I just recently picked up a couple years ago, and I had never gotten around to playing it, but I kept always hearing stuff about it where it was talked about as maybe not so much the greatest Halo game, but it was serviceable. And on top of being serviceable, I didn't spend $60 on it like people did when it first came out. And I can understand at that point why this game might be just a tad bit underwhelming. But for the price you can fetch it for now, this game is... wow. I gotta say, it's probably one of the first gaming experiences in a while where the intrigue has hooked me enough to where when you get done with a playthrough, you want to keep playing. Like, you know, when you do stuff like this and you do your playing segment or your playthroughs in segments where you're like, okay, I'm gonna record an hour here, record an hour there. This is one of those few games where when I got done with that first hour, oh man, I was ready for more of it, especially because there's actually a part in this playthrough that I've experienced so far which I may be considered one of my favorite moments in a video game in a very, very long time. And it's special, so I'm glad that I got it on cam, so I'll be able to react to it and let you guys enjoy that moment with me as well. But basically, here is the story to Halo 3 ODST as I've been talking. It's got a very interesting setup, especially because it's a little bit darker than the other Halo games, especially the first three, as far as like, and I don't mean that by the content, because also the content's kind of a bit dark as well, but the actual settings and the way everything looks is also dark. But I think that adds to the game considerably. I may be in the minority there, but I enjoy the dark overtone that this game has. The city could use a little bit more lively stuff to it, but as far as just general, I love it, man. Love it.
The Navy put up a good fight.
Of course they did. It's Earth.
Better late than never.
How about you show some respect, Romeo?
Just saying, Dutch. They missed one.
No. They left it for us.
You know the music. Time to dance.
Hello, beautiful.
Pods. Now.
Replacements?
This many years into the war, who isn't?
At least they listen.
To me. And they're not gonna like what they hear.
Orders are orders.
Come on, Veronica. What could be more important than that carrier?
My orders. And Buck, call me Captain. I'll pass on that dance, but you can show me where to sit.
Shut down.
Hey, what the hell kind of armor was she wearing?
Dunno, Mickey. I wasn't looking at her gear. Seriously?
Well, gotta be close quarters.
Exactly.
Second to last, right next to mine.
Cozy. You gonna tell us her name, Gunny?
Ms. Naval Intelligence. Our new boss.
Oh, brother.
So check your mouths, find your chairs, and get set for a combat drop.
He's pissed.
The hell am I supposed to do with this inside a Covenant ship? Wake up, Buttercup.
Relax, rookie. He don't mean nothing. Besides, now's one of those times. Pays to be the strong, silent type.
I love the weapons in this game, by the way. I love that new assault rifle. It is definitely one of my favorite renditions of it in the Halo series. What I also enjoy about this game considerably as well is that... oh, go ahead, let's get listen to this.
Reports Covenant troops are massing beneath the carrier. They're pulling back? Why? Not gonna find out way up here. Troopers! We are green and very, very mean!
Nice little... I finally know where that sound comes from. It's the sound of a pod dropping. From the Halo 3 multiplayer.
I take it back. Navy got its butt kicked. Hey, Romeo. Remember when I told you to shut your mouth? Yeah? Consider that a standing order. Captain, 15 seeing clips off the deck. Stand by to adjust trajectory. On my mark. What did he just say? Mark. We're way off course. We're heading exactly where I need to go. But we're gonna miss the carrier. Radiation! Covenant just set off a nuke? No. The carrier's going to jump. It's a slip-space rupture. You need this. EMP. Losing power. Stabilize! They popped their chutes. We're going in hard.
The opening is very well done in this game. Very, very well done. It sets a very certain mood that I can't put my finger on, but it's definitely one of the most atmospheric games I've played in a while. Try to make sure I'm not about to miss on any dialogue by talking, because I got a lot to say about this game, trust me. The Rookie. Ah, what a great... This is so good. The opening is so good. So you get separated from your group 6 hours after the drop, and basically, just so in case you guys want to know what the premise is, you need to find where all your squad mates are, because you can't find them, because you get separated from them. And obviously during the 6 hours that you were out, stuff happens, and the only way you are going to ever find out what exactly happened is by finding debris or weapons or stuff along those nature that triggers story events that you go through and you play as the characters who you are looking for, so you get a better idea of what happened to them. Obviously, I haven't seen all of it yet, but I have played about 2 hours worth, and from what I can see so far, the story might be building to something. We'll see what... I'll tell you more about that as we come along to it, but what I can say is that I think it is a very interesting approach, because you do play as Rookie, sure, but you only play as him in kind of like what this game is like an overworld. And yes, the Covenant are here, and they are out there, and they are very strong in this game. It's almost ridiculous how strong they are. You'll struggle a lot with enemies, especially in big groups. This game's a lot more tactical, I've noticed, than Halo 3, especially on just normal difficulty. I didn't expect the game to be as challenging as it has turned out to be, but it is... I almost kind of like it for that, but I do die quite a bit in some later parts. So, the difficulty will definitely be rearing its ugly head later. So the visor that we have currently up allows you to not only see better in the dark, which is very, very useful, but it's also a good tool for locating where enemies are, because when you pull up on an enemy, they'll be highlighted in red, which is very useful. Obviously, in this kind of situation, what I've noticed so far, especially in this overworld, is that you don't run into a lot of friendlies. So pretty much if anything pops up on your screen, it's highlighted, it's probably going to be a Covenant. The Covenant travel in small packs, but they are very, very potently strong, especially the Brutes. The Brutes are insanely powerful in this game, and I found myself struggling against them early until you start to get a grip on just how powerful you are and how powerful your weapons are. And ammo seems to be a problem in this game, which is very, very also unique. I gotta say, there's a lot of... I keep saying it, but Halo 3 ODST did a lot of things really well. I don't know if it, if the end result is very well, but from just like the general consensus of what I've seen, it's a lot of really well done things put together in a tight package. But from what I've heard, especially from talking to people, is that what they didn't like was how short the game was, and that you don't play as Master Chief, which that doesn't bother me at all. But I guess we'll see how I feel about it, the length of the game, when it gets done. But I'm always up and for a quick and easy experience, especially when it comes to recording. Like, when you record a game like this as opposed to Mass Effect, it is much easier to do this because you can get a lot of progress, a lot of stuff done in an hour, whereas in Mass Effect, like, good lord, you'll barely touch the game in an hour. You'll probably get to the Citadel and do the tutorial in that time, whereas in this game, I get quite a bit done in an hour. So as you can tell, you get a lot of grunts, little guys running around. They sometimes suicide bomb. I haven't ran into a lot of that yet, but I usually kill them from a distance anyway, due to bad experiences of them running up on me and killing me in Halo 3, which we'll probably end up playing for the channel now that I've played Halo 3 ODST. So yeah, I'll be definitely uploading some Halo content in the future, especially considering how much I enjoy the shooting in Halo. That's one of my favorite aspects, especially of this game, is just how tight the gunplay was, because this is coming off the heels of Quantum Theory, which I only played for a part because of issues regarding recording, because I somehow deleted a file that I really needed to have for that playthrough, and to be honest, that game isn't good enough to warrant getting played again, so I wasn't in a rush to re-record it. But thankfully I have Halo 3 ODST, which will kind of fill that little niche for a shooter on my channel, because I've never done this. So, besides, was it, I guess you could call Condemned kind of a shooter, but not really. So yeah, it's really interesting. This is a great initial step for a playthrough. Now, I gotta preference this by saying that I do explore a lot, and you'll notice, especially for me, that you don't really find a lot in this game. There are audio files that you can find, which I will show as many as I can find, but because the game is so vast and it's kind of empty, I think that's probably one of the critiques I would give it. I almost find myself coming out of main missions and immediately running to the next one, just because I think the main story is captivating enough that I want to see it. I want to see more of it. So I rush through the game so I can go see more of the content regarding the story in the game. And that, as a byproduct, obviously means that you skip a lot of the stuff you can find in the overworld. But from what I can see, what you usually find is like shotguns and audio files, and sometimes some bodies of people who don't appear to be relevant to your squad. It's just bodies, and maybe I could be wrong and you are finding bodies of your squad mates, but so far I don't think that's been the case. But I've only played 2 hours, so obviously, you know, take that what you will. I love the more tactical gameplay in this one, because in Halo 3, and I guess Halo's kind of been doing this for ever since its incarnation, but the game just doesn't allow you to run up and be a savage. Like, you can't just run up and beat down these brutes. You're just not as strong as Master Chief. Your health replenishes really fast, and the enemies hit you like a train. So you have to be a little bit more tactful with the combat, which is a welcome addition for sure, because I always kind of enjoy it. It does make for a slower playthrough for sure. So if that isn't your style, then you can obviously watch something a little more faster paced on my channel. But this is a more slow, deliberate shooter with a lot of very interesting parts in it. So I'll do my best to talk about the story as it comes along. But it is just a great atmosphere. I love it. Just watching it makes me want to play more of it. It is a very dark game, though, and I mean that, and then, like, you know, the brightness isn't very good. I think that kind of adds to it. I might touch up the darkness just a little bit so you guys can see more. But as far as me, oh yeah, I was in the dark pretty much half of the game. So sometimes you're going to hear sounds like this. This allows you to access data terminals. Data terminals are kind of important because it's your only way to get, like, side story added in. It explains a lot of stuff, like the origins of the people who are in your group, how they came to be a part of the ODST, and what were the events leading up to this, what happened to the city, so on and so forth. As you can see there, you get an achievement for it, tourist, and that'll go away right now. So with the nav system as well, it allows you to look around. Basically, what I would recommend in this situation is just listen to the game, because the game is very good in pointing you in the right direction. You can use this overworld map if you want, if you get lost, which I think I've had it happen maybe once or twice in my experience so far, but it's very well laid out. Everything's kind of locked off at first, until you really do that first initial mission, and then basically the game puts you on a very straightforward path from person to person to person as far as their story events are concerned, and the nav will be your best friend to find it. But obviously, because this is a game that was made in kind of the new gen, you get waypoints. So the game is always kind of pointing you in the direction you need to go anyway. I like waypoints. I've always enjoyed waypoints in games because obviously, you know, when you don't got a lot of time on your hands and you need to get a lot done, it's really nice when the game kind of just is like, hey man, listen, if you want to experience what's good, you just go right here. If you want to explore and you have more time on your hands, and you can kind of deviate away from that. So, always been a fan of waypoints, especially with how big games have gotten over the years. It's ridiculous. But I don't do this for a while, but if you press up or down for assistance, it's actually recommended because that'll it'll show you where the nearest door is that you can actually walk through is, so you don't end up running around like I do aimlessly for a little bit, because I still was kind of getting my bearings for the game at this point. So if you set a waypoint, you can really, really enhance the experience. Unless you want to wander around aimlessly, then by all means don't use the access button or the assistance button, and just enjoy the game for what it offers. Oh, that shouldn't happen, bro. Sorry about it. I think that does big damage. I could be mistaken on that, but I think the game later tells you that you can silently kill enemies, which is funny that they include a stealth option, because I found that it doesn't usually work as well as I think they intended it to. I found that stealth usually goes about as well as, yeah, well, the enemy sees you and they start fighting you. And it's not like just one enemy starts fighting you, everybody starts fighting you. So it's not like they raise an alarm or say something. The enemies just pretty much lock on pretty hard to you once they see you. And that isn't more prevalent than later, which is probably one of my biggest complaints about Halo. Oh, okay, so here's something cool. Sorry, I'm gonna cut myself off there. So when you come into a building or an area where you are going to find something that pertains to your squad mate who is missing, the game will give you an audio cue or a visual cue on the screen that says look for the beacon. The beacon is not an actual beacon. What it is an item that will it's story related. So it'll glow and you'll be able to access it, which allows you to access the story mode. You're going to see here as I wander around aimlessly in this building that at first I was looking for an actual beacon. That is incorrect. Do not do that. Just think of it more as look for something that would be important for the story. Like, you know, is it a helmet? Is it a gun? Is it a piece of equipment that's blown off? Or is it a person? So on and so forth. That's the way I started looking at it moving forward after this first initial story sequence, and it makes finding the beacons a lot easier. This game kind of has some horror elements to it. I mean, I don't want to say horror in the sense of that you're going to get jump scared, but they put enemies in areas that you can't really see very well, and they'll get you because they don't make noise. I did like it. I think it adds a very cool kind of on the edge of your seat experience for this game, so big fan of it. Hopefully it keeps up as the game goes on. So right now, like I said, we're looking for the beacon. And it's a piece of equipment. It's that helmet. So if you want to get a jump start on it, just look at that helmet. I was unaware of that and was like, well, where the hell is this beacon at? I was like getting confused because it says to pull up this beacon, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, is it an actual beacon, or do I need to go outside? Is it inside? I should have noticed that I thought what that was, to my credit, I thought it was a crack in the screen that was like kind of discolored. And I was like, okay, that has nothing to do with this, right? But if you look at that helmet, it's a helmet, but it doesn't look like a helmet unless you get really up close on it. But for me, it kept looking like, oh, well, it's just a crack in the screen that's got yellow on it. So I ignored it. And, well, it took me a second to realize that was a very bad option. And that I needed to be on my toes a bit more as far as investigating was concerned. Go up to the screen. Holy cow. This is painful to watch in hindsight. I promise this is the only one that's really this bad. But then again, like I said, I've never played this game before. You're looking at the raw footage of the first time I ever played Halo 3 ODST. So then my thought process became, maybe it's in the ceiling, maybe there's a floor, maybe there's an opening I need to find, and then it finally dawned on me like, oh, it's the helmet. I think this is very, very, very awesome. I like the way that they did this. Even though I do enjoy playing as Rookie, most all the characters play the same, so.
You gonna tell us her name, Gunny?
Ms. Naval Intelligence. Our new boss.
Oh, brother.
So check your mouths, find your chairs, and get set for a combat drop.
So now we found the helmet. It's going to initiate the backstory of whoever the helmet pertains to. In this situation, it's Buck in the Tiara Plaza, immediately after drop. And what it is, it's going to tell the events of the story that you weren't awake for, so that you get an idea of what happened. I'm going to go ahead and let the cutscene roll, and I will be back once it is over.
Squad, what's your status? You still with me, Buck?
Yeah. Give me a sec.
I hit pretty hard. My hatch won't open. How about yours?
Works great.
Right. When you get done fooling around, I could use some help.
Did I do something wrong? Because the only thing I regret about you and me, not knowing you were a spook when we first met. I would have been a lot less charming.
That's what I missed most about you, Buck. Well, your mouth was always a little faster than your brain. Look, don't start about my job. We both agreed to end it.
That was years ago, Veronica. I'm a little fuzzy on the details. Must have met a lot of other saps since then. Why pick me for the safari?
First, you're the best soldier I know, and second, I don't remember that night. What you asked me in the morning?
I remember not getting an answer.
Say again, Buck. You're breaking up.
I said stay put. I'm on my way.
We missed our LZ. This grid is packed with Covenant. Be careful.
I appreciate the concern.
Won't be much of a rescue if you're dead.
So, what I find interesting about Buck's kind of backstory is that obviously him and Dare, or Veronica in this situation, had a thing going that I'm assuming that the audio logs that you find in the game dives into deeper, but from what I get or can gather based off what I've played so far is that she is either dead or missing. I can't entirely tell. I don't want to say that this game will end bad, but Halo Reach ended bad, so my expectations for a happy ending are pretty low. Hopefully maybe that gets tethered the more I play, but I know better. When it comes to the Halo franchise, if your name isn't Master Chief, you can just go ahead and buckle up and prepare, because usually you don't make it. And it's sad, too, because the characters are at least likable. I mean, you don't get to see them a lot, or you don't get to really experience them outside of just the small tidbits you're given in the beginning, but they all seem likable. They're all people, right? So right now, as you can tell, the combat gets... It's just different than Halo 3. It's very... They want it to be tactical, but it's not a cover-based shooter. You're not going to have to sit there and Gears of War it, even though I do that a lot, because it's the best way to get your stamina back, so you can take some damage before your health bar drops. But as you can tell, I'm already about to die, so now, once you start getting on that verge, you start playing it a little bit more careful. Just take your time, pick off the small enemies first, and then focus on the big guys. Because if you do it the other way around, the little guys like to run around a lot, and they do a lot of stuff that's very annoying and can be detrimental to your success, like throwing grenades at you or walking up on you and unloading an entire clip of a needler into you, and it's rough. So I like to focus on the small guys unless I know for certain I can wipe out the bigger brutes with something quick and efficient. He's literally standing behind this pod, by the way. It's hilarious. I'm like, why? Where did he go? What? I had to get used to the right bumper thing. I'm so used to X being a reload in video games these days that now when it's not, it just throws me off big time. Nice little achievement progress. I like how they did that as well. So you always kind of know when you're working towards an achievement, and I am like most gamers in that I love achievements. I think they add a lot to video games, even though they're pretty much meaningless. It's just kind of nice to be rewarded outside of the story sometimes, and achievements do a very good job in that. Plus, you always feel like you're kind of accomplishing something, even though, like, let's be real, you're really not doing anything, just playing a video game. Well, that's what we all love anyway, so... Oh, we got another guy over here. Let's go say hi to him. A lot of this is mindless wandering around, and I apologize for that. But I did find some health, which is muy importante.
But listen, some of these buildings are open.
So
Should be able to get inside. Flank the
Right.
Covenant on the streets.
Roger that. Thanks.
I like his accent. You always gotta love a good Australian accent to add some spice to your game. Gosh, so many brutes here in this area. I was trying to think of like a strategy, like, hey, maybe I should shower them with grenades real quick. But I didn't want to trigger them and have them come into the building, because they will do that. So you want to get the drop on them in a situation where it takes them a second to realize where you are. A great way to actually kill enemies in this game would be to not do what I just did and miss your grenade tosses. They are very effective against pretty much every enemy in the game, so if you get good at sticking enemies with grenades, you can do some serious damage. Apparently this soldier that I was with was invulnerable, because man, he took a beating. Because I was still kind of getting used to everything at this point. Combat for me gets a lot smoother the further in we go. Plus, I eventually stopped pressing X to reload because I realized that that pulls up your navigator, so why on earth would you want to do that?
Back of your head.
I always prefer the needler in these games. Maybe I might not understand the game very well, but needlers, if you get enough of the stuff on them, it is quick and efficient kill. The only problem is if you ever break line of sight or target, the needler kind of just tickles the enemy more than does a lot of damage. And I found in this game that I could never quite judge when an enemy was going to die from a needler. Like I'd hit him with a bunch of them, and you kind of want to be smart with your ammo, so you pull up on the gun and then they don't die. And you're like, well, all right, that was a waste of ammo. If you look up in that top right corner when we go back over there, I was looking for some ammo, something a little bit better than what I had. Stupid alarm. There's an enemy on a turret up in the top right. If I had to redo this, I would go straight for him, because anytime you're facing an enemy in a turret in this game, because of how fragile your characters are, they need to die fast, because they will tear you up. Even in like vehicles, so on and so forth, guys in the turrets just hit like buses, and they need to be dealt with as soon as possible. God, man. It always feels like you're taking damage, but in reality what's happening is it's like, basically think of it as your shield. Your health doesn't start dropping just because you're getting hit. It takes a while before the enemy starts hitting you under your shields. I don't know how I didn't realize that that brute was hugging that wall, but he totally is. It's alright, because we got the plasma cannon, and this thing hits like a train. If you can ever pick one of these up, do it. Because this puts the hurt on them real quick. Covenant weapons are just good in general. I love the assault rifles and the pistols. There's just not enough ammo to go around on those. So if you want to use a weapon that you're going to get more ammo more frequently with, then stick to the plasma rifles, the plasma pistols.
Veronica, what's with all the dead elites? What do you mean? It's like a family feud, like they were killed by brutes. Is there something I should know?
It's classified.
Some things never change.
So there's some discoveries being made that some of the Covenant were being killed by other Covenant, and that there's a like almost like an interspecies war going on.
Still trapped inside my pod.
It'll be interesting to see how that develops moving forward. It's been a while since I played a Halo game, so I don't even know what they mean by that's classified information. What I would take a stab at is either A, there is another evil force at work, or the Flood's involved. I don't know. Maybe they might have the Flood in this. Or they were trying to control the Covenant and it backfired. It's one of those two or three or whatever. But I don't think it'll be either one of those. It'll probably be something a little more easy, like a failed experiment or something. I don't know. But it's a storyline I'm actually interested in. So I walk up on this daddy-o and then fall right off the platform, and that was really cool. So I had to play a game of Ring Around the Rosy with this guy so I could hit him. I love it. I love little sequences like that in gun games, man. It's always fun. When you're trying to be smarter than the enemy, it's the best. I thought maybe these might have something to do with something, but they don't. Maybe they might be important later, but I kept trying to like break those bases and maybe get some energy crystals or something, but I never got anything like that. So I come back over to check the door, but the best way to know if a door can be opened is to look at the light on the door. If it's green, sometimes you're allowed in, sometimes you're not. The game just kind of dictates where you're going 95% of the time, which is fine. I think I'd throw a grenade down here. So we got another soldier up here. That's kind of what I like about these flashbacks, is you have some...
Cut through this building. Hit
you actually have backup. Because when you're as rookie, you don't have backup ever.
Buck, location.
Almost there. What's wrong?
Multiple hostiles closing on my position. Listen carefully. If I don't make it...
Whoa, hang on. I'll be right there.
Too late. They spotted me.
Damn it, no! Veronica, talk to me. Don't move. I'm coming, you hear?
I like how they try to add a little bit of suspense to it. I thought for sure if you took too long, you would die. I don't think that's the case. So this is one of the situations in the game where they put you in a very difficult firefight. This fight is multi-layered. You have to fight a lot of brutes, a lot of grunts, and then there's some surprises that come also later that make for about a 5 to 6 minute firefight depending on your skill. Just be smart, use your stamina accordingly, get into cover when you lose your stamina and start taking actual damage. And don't be afraid to fight the enemies. I was a little afraid of fighting them at first because I thought I would die, and you will die very quickly, but you have some time when you're taking damage to kind of assess the danger level. You can be pretty aggressive on these guys, just don't pick a fight with like 4 of them at one time. Pick your targets well, use your grenades well, and you should be fine. Fight the enemies you know you can fight. Like these guys with the shields are pretty low on the threat level, and grunts are pretty low on the threat level. Kind of work your way up the threat levels. The only time I would say to break away from that strategy is anytime you see a turret. Those need to die as soon as possible because they just deal way too much damage. That leaving them be is just a death sentence. Snipers are also annoying, and I also consider them a top priority. Snipers, so turrets, snipers, then you go to the lowest threat level and work your way up. Unless the brute is literally forcing himself onto you, you want to get rid of the little damage as soon as possible. But I enjoy this. Like, I know for content, maybe people don't want to watch a drawn-out firefight, but I think it's really cool. I like that the game has fights with multiple layers that aren't just kill 5 enemies and move on. You get to fight multiple enemy types. The fights are long. There's multiple options to explore, like taking the high ground here or going inside the building, which I think I discover here in a bit that I could have done the whole time. But there's just a lot of ways to tackle the fights, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy this game a lot, as it currently stands. Like, see, I've taken a lot of damage so far, but I haven't been damaged. Like, I just now took damage, and I am taking damage. But it takes a while for you to get to that threshold. Then you just walk over a health pack, and you're good to go. Take some more punishment. This is where I discovered that I think you can go upstairs in this building, and if you do, you find a better weapon to fight them with, which is nice. That's always nice. Just be careful using these buildings because the brutes, I think pretty much any enemy in the game will try to follow you into them. Oh, man, that guy, that was unfortunate. But now we got a plasma rifle, gives us a little bit of the range advantage.
Hunters? Oh, no!
Oh.
Not afraid with it! Turn around, you bastards. Let me shoot
See?
you in the
Well,
back.
I mean, and thankfully the game tells you what their weakness is. You need to shoot these guys in the back. That's a lot easier said than done because you're the only person here. That's what kind of made me laugh a little bit about this, is that they were talking about that, and then you realize that you're the only person in this map. So getting these guys to not fight you is pretty hard. I tried some strategies, they didn't work out, but eventually I just kind of settled on going full brute on them. Because basically what you want to do is sneak around them, right? But it's not that easy to do that. So I realized that wasn't working, and I head for this building, and yes, they will follow you into this building, as I quickly learned. Just find yourself some grenades. Grenades are going to be your best friend in this situation. So when I realized that guy had literally followed me through the entire building. I thought he would turn around and head out, especially after I had pretty much outran him. I thought he would reset and head out the building, but no. They will follow you until they get you. Should have started hucking grenades right there. Grenades do damage regardless of what side they're hitting them on. Obviously, you want to throw the grenades behind them, but just hitting them at all with any sort of explosive is always recommended. And that would be the strategy I would recommend if I had to go back and do this again, is once you get your hands on some grenades, you can kind of... Your options for fighting are open up a lot more than just, well, aim for this dude's weak spot. So here I am waiting for them to come back in because I know they're going to come back in. And I debated it for a second, but then I realized that the close range assault rifle probably wasn't the best. So that's the turret down. Now we can focus on actually fighting these guys. So this is where I start resorting to the grenades. And I get a nasty, nasty nade toss on that first one. Take him completely out of commission. Now we focus our attention. Another nade on him. Stuck. Boom. I thought that killed him, but he's still alive. So now he just needs another one. Boom. Grenade. Missed it. So I switch over to plasma, stick him back up, and he's dead. So that would be my recommended strategy for that. You can try and sneak around them, but if you have some plasma grenades or the spike grenades, just use those. And with that, we reach the final part of this chapter, where that her pod, or Dare's pod, Veronica's pod, is being surrounded by grunts.
Attention travelers. Lost items can be claimed on lower level.
So basically what you want to do here is kill the grunts, and the reason why I say that is I'm going to let this cutscene play us out once I get done killing these grunts and get up to the pod. So thank you guys so much for watching. Expect more Halo 3 ODST coming very soon, because I'm enjoying this, and I'll catch you guys in the next part.
I'm here. I got you. Oh, nuts. Whoa, whoa! Whoa! What the heck was that? You ever seen one before? Hey, Romeo, you got your ears on?
Oh, I get it. Permission to speak, smartass.
No, I don't know what it was. But it was gonna grease your ass good. Just like it did the captain.
Yeah, maybe. You're from Mickey, Dutch?
Negative.
The rookie. We need to get above this crap. Link with the B-net. One of our drones must have seen where they hit.
So we're popping smoke in the lady's mission? She ever tell you what she wanted?
No. Never. Doesn't matter. All I care about now is getting my men out of this city.
Even you.